Hello everyone, this is another great day in art. We are going to today work on some shading on the outside of the face, on both sides. We're going to start to prep for the lips. What do you think? I think we've got this. Okay, so the last video we looked on how to tweak and revise our nose, our eyes, and our eyebrows. So today what we're going to do is we are going to be working in this area off to the side first in order to create our highlights and then our low lights, which are the shades that come down through here. So we're going to start to push and pull our picture back and forth. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get a piece of paper, because you see this edge right here. I need to grab a piece of paper, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this under here, and you can kind of be careful because I can see through the bottom of my paper. Do you see that? And I don't want to confuse that with what's going on my shades. So actually I'm going to just tuck this one in here. All right, so let's just slide this one in a little bit. The computer's grabbing it here. All right, just in order to take care of the overspray. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to look at this background shade. So let's look at the background together. This shade, let's talk over what number it is. Number 1 is white, number 10 is black. So I would say we're at about a 4 here, a 3 to a 4. Relate this to the shade that's up in her forehead. Okay, so we do have some area of this shade up in the forehead right here. So it's not too dark. The neck is going to be darker, but the jawline is going to be darker. And what I want you to see is right where my finger begins. And I'm going to take my pencil and do this. You can almost see, but we're not going to do it. It looks like a line. But you see this hard edge right here? And on the inside, do you see how it gets a little bit of a lighter pop? And then our darker shade around it. That's what we're going to begin with. So let's get our paper towel. It's a square paper towel. We wrap it up over our finger. Remember how I taught you how to do this? Hold it like this. Bend it back. Tuck it up underneath. There we go. And then we're going to borrow graphite. Okay, so we're going to borrow graphite. I already put down a 6B on there. You can see it loaded. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to test this first to wipe it off a little bit. Because what I would like to do is I'm going to work on this background right here. It's kind of hard. You don't see my jawline, but it's there. So I'm going to tuck this up underneath here. Look at all my little pencils. And with circles, very carefully, I'm going to go right to the face. And I'm going to erase that nice and sharp here in a little bit so you can see it. I'm going to go all the way out towards the outside edge. And this little bit she has right here is hair. So I'm going to go inside the area that is not hair, just the background. All right. And I can see where I have a mark on my paper here, something underneath. We talked about that before, that if we happen to have a little bit of oil on our hands, or if I had tape on it when it was on the wall, and I pull it off, it compromises the fibers of the paper. Okay, now, I've taught you how to do the overspray. We're going to take this, just so you can see what I'm working on. That's the shaping of the side of the jaw. I'm going to move that up a little bit. Just move this right here so you can see that a little better. Kind of have to change all that, don't I? All right. So here, and use a paper towel to brush it apart. Here is where the dark area is going to go now. So very carefully, what I can do, because this area has to require that it's a very nice, sharp edge, I'm going to get that dirty paper towel that I've been using in all my videos. It's got a hole in it, but that's okay. I'm going to put my pencil in it. I'm going to pull it back a little bit so it bends. And whatever I happen to have on here already, I'm going to go to the side. And these are going to be tiny little circles. Now, where does this area begin? Well, it's very shallow up through her face. And I know my camera isn't there. My camera starts at about right here. So I'm just going to begin where the camera is. And very carefully, I'm going to draw her jawline in. It's not a straight line though, is it? I'm really careful not to do a straight line. It's a soft edge of a line. Okay, the only other thing that we could do differently would be to actually add pencil to this and blend it out. And I can show you that. I'm not losing my line though. So what I'm talking about is taking a black ebony pencil that's a little bit flat. You see that edge? It's a little flat. And what I'm going to do is right where, and looking at your paper, where does this edge begin? So if I went through it, which I can't find it now, I can find it by laying my pencil down to see where it begins. And it begins right at the highlight of that nose, the ball of the nose. So here's the ball of my nose. Let me get a little bit of a longer pencil for you here. So right here is telling me that this, to connect to the face, in case you lose it like I did. Do you see what I did? Do you see that? The rest of this would be considered her face. Okay, so this is her face line. Now very carefully, I know I put a little bit of a line in there, but that's all right. I am now beginning my ovals. Okay, now this is a very, very, very light oval. It's not heavy. It's very light, and I'm only going to go towards the edge here. Alrighty. Now, keeping in mind, again, down to where the neck connects to the face, I don't want to show that line. I'm going to dissipate that, but I'm just going to bump this up a little bit more. All right, so now I can go back with my paper towel, and it's all about having a nice crisp line. This line should be crisp away from this. Okay, now I pulled that back again, and very carefully, I'm going to show you a couple different ways of how you can do this. But first, I'm going to be blending this into my face. I don't want to make it too dark, but I do want to make sure that this line is apparent. Now, do you see how it still looks like it's fuzzy? Well, I don't want her to look like she has peach fuzz, do I? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reshape her with that nice light line. Did you see how I did that? Okay, so I carved it in, and you can still see a little bit of a line, and guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the edge of my pink pearl, and I'm going to line it up to that line, and I'm going to disguise it by pulling it. See what I'm doing? I'm pulling it like this. I'm going to do it carefully. I'm pulling it in towards the background. Okay, now why, Mrs. Marple, didn't you go through first? And just draw that and then shade it. Well, because I'm afraid we would do it too darkly. So, I have a nice sharp edge now. I'm going to take that clean part of my paper towel. See, I just re-rolled it. And do you remember how I taught you? The overspray, we're just going to blend that. I'm staying away from the face. And another tip is because I have my paper under here, and you can see my paper. Do you see my paper hiding up under there? See that sharp line? I want to make sure that the crease is not anywhere near this, because if it is, you're going to get that double line we talked about. All right, so there's my background. Now, let's talk about our cheekbone area. Well, when I go up here, it's supposed to be thinner. I did it a little too heavy, but that's okay. Down here, it's thicker. Because when you look at this, you see how it comes from here? It's like almost like a crescent of the moon. It kind of gets a little bit bigger, and it kind of chisels down without it making it look as if it's chiseled down that hard. So let's do what I've taught you from before. We're going to pop it. So let's shape it. First of all, I want to see how high I need to go because my camera's kind of showing a little bit of a wonky edge. I'm going to lift this back up a little bit so you can see the whole picture and we can see where we need to go. Right here on the outside, I know it needs to be a little darker, but that's a little thick. So I'm going to pop, you kind of twist it as you do that. See how I alleviated that? Just kind of twisted it a little bit, just a little pop. All right, let's get our paper towel. I might get the dirty side a little bit because I do need to increase circles. I need to increase up here towards her temple. All right. Okay, this is going to get wider and it's diffused. So by the time you get across from her lip line right here, it's diffused. Right above that, however, it's a little thicker. Right above that, just a little thicker. So between the nose and the lip area, right here, it's a little bit of an angle. It starts to go in about that direction, about right here. So I'm going to softly come up to here, and yes, that is too dark, so I'm going to lighten that up here shortly. And we're going to bring this down. I have to be mindful of my paper underneath me. All right, let's do a little bit of a pop right there, just to get that darkness out of there. Now, let's look at her cheek. I'm going to pull this away now. All right, let's look at her cheek area. I keep wanting to throw that out, and that's that beauty mark. I should just add it back in. But anyway, let's soften this because right now this is a number 1. So if I hold my hands over this, it's not a number 1. The only number 1, areas around her eyes, we talked about in her nose, the bottom of the lips. So this is like a 2. That is still a 2. Over to here, it starts to get a 3. So let's shade this a little bit. So I'm just going to softly take the bite out of the paper. I'm going to come over towards this area where my finger is here. See that little highlighted area? I'm going to leave that so I know I have to reshape that. So see how I'm taking the bite out? Circles, circles, circles. I'm going to blend down here where the nose gets darker, right here, gets a little darker. Okay, I'm going to borrow a little bit of graphite, wipe it off because I don't want it to be too dirty. So we know this is a little bit of a darker area, but I need to tone this down with her bag. It's kind of blended out to here. There we are. Now you can see how that stayed light. All right. Just going to continue. I know I took my little guard away, but that's okay. I can always erase the desk. I'd rather you at home have a little guard underneath you so your parents don't get upset, or your guardians, that you're getting graphite all over their beautiful furniture. We got to take care of everything, don't we? Yes, we do. Okay, so here it is, guys, a little darker here. And I know it picks up here a little more. I need to increase that. So let me wrap this around my finger. No shortcuts. Wrap it around my finger. Borrow a little graphite. And let's begin this again. If I get too dark, I know what I can do. I can pop it. And that's a really dark spot right there. It needs to actually be a little lighter, but that's okay. I'm going to work that out in a second. Now, what I want to show you is right here, this area. Do you see there's a highlight? When you look at your paper, you can actually see where this has a glow to it. But everything around it is a little darker. So we're getting ready for our lips. The lips are going to be the next video, not right now, but I do have to prepare for them. So what I have is this little bit of a glow right here that I'm leaving alone. This is toned down. I'm just kind of hitting that a little bit, passing it through. We want to show that she's got like a little bit of a cheekbone. This is a little dark, so we're going to pop it. See how we got rid of that? Now, let's reshape it. So I want to look at the space between the outer edge of my lip to where that shadow is. And when I look at that, there is more highlight from here to here than there is that low light, isn't there? So first, I need to add that in a little bit. So down here, underneath the lip, there's a dark spot. See that little dark spot? It's about right here. And we're going to go up Okay, now you start to see it. We're going to blend that out. Mrs. Marple's still got to pop this a little bit more. And it almost looks like there's a highlight. I don't know if that's in the paper, but it looks as if that could very well be a highlight within that dark area. So I need to darken this just a smidge. I'm going to take my blending stump because my fingers are a little big. And you can see this is all smashy. See, there's no pencil in there. Okay, so I'm going to load up just slightly. And within her area of her cheekbone, we talked earlier about how this is a low light. It's darker. But then there's a glaring little highlight sliver on the inside. Then it gets a little darker than her background. So let's go up here and roll it, roll it, roll it to the shape for what I need. That's that little bit of a darker area. Okay, now, what happened is, it looks as if that got faded out a little bit. So what I need to do, I don't know if that happened to you or not, but because that got a little bit of an overspray, very carefully, I'm going to go in and do that little tiny oval that I taught you earlier. Again, we don't want it to look like it's a line. Okay, that looks like a line. I understand. I'm going to bring this down. That does. But after I blend it, it shouldn't. So I'm going to do circles. And it's okay if I get that overspray. That's okay. Because I taught you what to do with that. We'll pull this back a little bit. I taught you what to do with your pink pearl eraser. Just don't lose the jawline. So here's the line. I'm going to shape it. Nice shape. Right? That's our shape. I got that back again. And I'm going to pull this back out. And then I'm going to wipe it off with the paper towel a little bit. Wipe that off a little bit with the paper towel. Now that's back. Okay. Inside of here, we talked about it being a little bit more of a highlight. Well, this still needs to be darker on the inside of it. So it's darker low light, highlight, back to where that line is right there. So here, back to the paper towel. See, it smashes. I'm going to load this up with a little graphite. See, I put it on there, little graphite. Taught you how to roll it. And through here, I'm going to try to leave this alone on the inside. I'm going to have that glow. Okay, so right underneath her lip area, that's where that little bump is. Okay, so you're just kind of working with the shape. Again, we don't want it to be too big. I don't want it to look as if she's got a 5 o'clock shadow or peach fuzz. And then right above the upper area of the lip, here's the highlight right here. That's that little dimple. I was saying that might be in the paper. Maybe it's me, but either way, I think it looks kind of cute there. Okay, and then I'll just soften it. Soften the edges around it a little bit. Okay, so there's that little dimple. All right, now we're going to do the same thing for the other side. Okay, so when I remove this, look at the difference. Do you see how we knock the shades down a little bit so it's not so white anymore? So let's do this to the other side. The other side's a little bit different because she has, and I'll point this over to here, she has a neck glow. There's a dark spot up against the inside of the background. So right up against where the jawline meets the background, do you see how the jawline is whiter? Do you see that highlight? Well, let's do the easy part. We're going to not work on the ear, and that's like a picture frame right there. I believe it is. It's like a straight line. We're not worried about that. But her ear begins slightly about right here. That's the area halfway between the bottom of her nose to her eye. You can see where her ear is. So we're going to be working on the background towards it. We're going to do this part in a later part of the video. Okay? So let's go ahead and work on the background. So what's the easiest thing to do? Well, we're going to take our doll 6B, and literally, yes, you guessed it, I'm going to draw right on this paper. Now remember, always have something under you. So whatever you drew already, I'm going to put a piece of paper underneath me so I don't get oil and I don't transfer graphite all over my body. So let's go ahead and begin. Down here, this is a very, very soft line. As we're doing this, what shade do you think this is right here? Right in the corner where I am. What shade? It's pretty close to a 9. Maybe a 9.5. So in looking at the neck, and this is really important, and we'll get to the neck later. We're going to work on the neck later. But this is highlighted. It's a glow. It gets dark again. But look at where the glow stops. And then it changes up. The skin is darker than the background. Do you see that? So right about where the neck is, to only about here, that's all we're going to add. We'll take care of the rest of down here at another time. But we're going to do our dark area first. Okay. So here we're adding, and it's nice and smooth. I'm doing ovals. Don't forget that. And as I go up towards the ear, my shade disappears. It kind of dissipates, doesn't it? It was really dark in that corner. All right, remember, we don't hold our pencil on the tip straight up and down. We turn it to the side when we do this. And again, we're going to blend that. But when it comes to the ear, we're just going to stop about right here because the ear, you can see, is going to be darker than what the background is. So we're going to make this a little bit lighter. So that's all I'm going to do, except now I'm going to have half of that pressure. Do you see how I went half the pressure with my hand? So closest to the neck, yes. And as we come out a little bit, we're going to do half the pressure. We're going to disguise our lines. This is that crisscross, which is called a crosshatch, but yet it's done with ovals. And it's really, really, really faint. It's really, really, really faint. All right, here we are. I'm going to first take my handy dandy trusted, dilapidated little paper towel blending stump here. And you'll notice I'm doing ovals. You see how smooth that is? Okay, I'm staying in the background. Staying in the background. Don't go in your face. It's okay, we're going to go in your face a little bit anyway, but we don't want to lose your shape of your face. So, students, I want to tell you how much I love you, how much I miss you. And my life lesson for the day, I want to teach you this. This was in my reading this morning. I love this. Here's Marpleism for the day, our life lesson. We are instructed and taught and counseled and watched over in the way we should go. So I today am instructing you. I'm teaching you. When you come to see me, I'm going to counsel your pictures and counsel you if you would like, as in life lessons and what we do in school and what we do in the classroom, how we live. And I'm also going to watch over you. I'm going to watch over your picture. And I'm here for you. And I hope you know that. I hope you know that. Of course, we have professionals to really counsel you, and that's not what I'm actually doing. I'm not that type of a paid professional, but I am here to listen. And I'm here to love on you. All right, now let's take this. I changed over to the paper towel, and I'm just going to play it out. I'm just going to go all the way over here. I'm going to go all the way up through my ear, too, without going through my ear, mind you. It's just a very, very light shade. So let's just blend this. If it looks too stripy, we don't want it to be too stripy, right? We want it to be a little bit more blended. so I can see I'm starting to get a little bit of a stripe. What do? You pop it, right? You pop that area where it looks like one area is going into another, where it looks like a stripe. After you pop it, what did I teach you? Clean paper towel, reblend, circles. Be careful not to go into your, put this on here. Be careful not to go into your face. Okay, so we're just going to let that blend out a little bit better. And like I said, we're going to work on this on another video. But I'm going to smooth that out. Looks like she could be a little bit more shaded right here. I see where I left a little bit out. So let's just pop that in. And again, I have to be careful not to overdo, because I know this has to be drastically lighter than the shoulder. So we're going to carve this out nice and sharp. We're going to leave that at another time. All right, you see that nice clean edge? Get rid of that. All right, let's go back up inside of the head. So over here on this side, we want to make it match the other side, but yet the lighting is a little different. When you look, I have a tendency to do that, everybody. I apologize, I'm right-handed. Over here is a little bit more of a highlight. She has a lot of a highlight through here, but you can drastically see the change over here with her shadow, can't you? So when you ask yourself what's darker, is it this low light or this low light? What do you think the answer is going to be? Well, over here it does look darker because the face is darker, and look how noticeably lighter the background is. Whereas over here it changes up a little bit. It's darker in the background, but the face is lighter, but it still has this little bit of a hard angle here, and it goes up into the eye area. So let's go ahead, and we're going to raise the camera up a little bit. We're going to work and tie in the eye area to what we need. So let's borrow a little bit of graphite, and let's begin up here. So first, we're going to go through and do a little bit of a shadow, and then we're going to add that hair together right here. I think we should do that secondary. So let's do this first. We have, don't forget, a little white sliver of a glow that goes all the way down. So very carefully, and you're asking yourself a question, what's darker, what's lighter, right? Face. As you work up and down this line in between the background and the face, you have to question and answer yourself what's darker and what's lighter. Okay. I think what I'm going to do, actually, everybody, I'm going to change gears for a sec. That's the thing with art. You can always change gears. I believe I need to add my shadow here first for contrast, and this is her hair. So this section, and all of us have this section right here, in order for this face to look a little brighter, I am going to go ahead and right here where the face is and the hair meet. See that dark line right here? It kind of comes in where her temple is. The temple is right off of, I'm going to change that over, right off of the eyebrow. Bumping my camera. We're going to do this just as I taught you how to do hair. Number one is the base shade. And I'm going to draw root to tail, root to tail. We're going to take care of the ear later. But let's go ahead and draw in all the way up to connect the top. And again, my camera can only go so far because of my partition. But right up through here, you can see where it goes up into your hair. So let's go ahead and tether that into there. All right, so first I have a contrast. So this is going to be contrast compared to what the face is. I'm going to use a sharper blending stump on this one, everybody, because I don't want to go into my face. And you guessed it, all I'm going to do is blend this out. This is your base shade. That's number one step. Remember when we do hair? And then what was the next step? Take your pink pearl, and you can go in and do your tiny little lines to make your baby hair in there, sure, you can do that. Also, if you've darkened it a little bit too much, this lightens it. And I know I need to lighten it where the ear is going to connect. Okay, so those are going to be my tails, and I'm going to wipe it away with my paper towel, not my hand. So I do have some lighter areas coming right off of where the eyebrow is. So I might go through and do a couple little strikes there. And we talked about if you wanted it to be individualized hair, which it is, we're going to now add a sharp 2B pencil. And I'm going to go towards the baby hair section where it connects the temple, right? Because some of it does cross through. These get these little tails, cute little tails up through here. But I can take care of the details later. I just want to, and I'm bringing down the tails here. I just want to go through and add just a little bit of contrast first. And later on, we can let that blend. Okay, so I'm going to connect that. There we go. See how that connects up through there? If one's a little dark, like that little guy got a little bit carried away, I'm going to take this in, and maybe I'll just tone it down a little bit. See how quick that was? Okay, let's resume. Let's go ahead and begin. Paper towel, wrapping around my finger, and I'm going to begin with this area off of her temple. So I have connected the eye, the wing part, you know that butterfly we talked about? It connects up here to the eyebrow. But let's go ahead, and I'm going to start down in this area where it's a little darker. Small little circles. I want to be careful not to go through my hair, and you can see I'm kind of toning that down. We have to take the bite away from the picture. I'm going to try to stay clear of that ear. Let's stay clear of the ear. Poet, don't even know it. Woo woo. So as you're doing this video on your own, whether you're going to be in my class working on this video, or if you're working on it at home, I want to hear you laughing. You want to laugh. I haven't heard your voices in so long, and your laughter, I miss it. Truly, I miss it. Okay, right down here, we talked about that corner. This corner right here is what I'm talking about. It goes up and it comes down. Now, where is that in relation to the nose? Let's sight it. So if I put it down where my lip line is straight across my nose, it looks like it's right below this part of the nose, doesn't it? So that's where I know it has to drop to. But how far over does it go? Well, if I have my pencil straight across, it's going to be in the middle of the pupil. So believe it or not, it's going to fade out to here. It's not going to come quite that far, but it's going to come over to here. Okay. I just want to be careful not to do too much, too fast. And then it comes back in. And we said it's going to be below where the nose area is. I'm not quite there. And down. So you can kind of start to see that shape happen, don't you? Okay, now, let's go ahead and take care of that. I still have, I know I started to get a little carried away, but I still have my jawline. We're not going to erase that yet. We're not going to go down that far today. I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to continue this area, and we're going to stop for the day. All right. So let's go back up and look at her picture as we do this. And we said where her highlight is and her glow, she does have a little one here. We can definitely see how it's highlighted here and a little bit through here. So softly, I'm going to take the bite out. At the same time, is the area that I did dark enough? Is that dark enough? No. I can actually tell you that. No. I want to be careful not to go too close. Remember, we have a glow. I want to kind of keep that natural. I don't want to erase that out. I'm going to take very, very good care as I go through here. All right, so we're just building that back up. I can see this area needs to be a little darker. About where the ear comes over, it's a little darker here. And I don't want to totally wash her out, do I? I just want to lightly glaze that, just lightly glaze that across. All right. Now, that looks pretty good. I might blend that a little bit better. We're always working, we're always adapting, always changing. We're going to end right here because we have to match what we've done there. This area has a little bit more of a glow. So I'm just going to tone this down, and then we're going to pick up on the next video. Okay, so let's discuss what we have. Well, first of all, I can see an oil spot coming through right here. I can see that. I can take care of that, get an eraser, and pop it. You don't have to reblend. I just popped it a little bit. I'm going to look at this shape, and I'm going to work on that shape a little bit. Popping it, because I think it had a little bit too much of a hook. And I still see where I need to darken that area. So this area still needs to be a little darker. And I'm going to take my blending stump in with a little bit of graphite and just keep refining that a little bit. Okay, we'll work on that on the next part here. So we're going to try to make these, I'm going to try to make these videos a little bit more user-friendly for you, where they're not quite as long. That way you can always take a break if you need to. Over here, I can see when I cover this, it still needs to be darker. Look at that. It got toned out. So I'm going to put my hand over this and start again. We talked about down here in the corner. Let's see what we're doing here. Down here in the corner, still needs to be darker. Let that just kind of fade out right here, and I'm going to build this up a little more. Ovals, 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 skinnier ovals, but still an oval, because I don't want to lose the difference between the background and the face. And I'm going to do another set, but this time I'm going to lighten my ovals half the hand pressure, so they're lighter, so they're going to be more easily blended. And remember, everybody, you don't want to exhaust your paper by erasing too much. If you start off with a light hand, you'll be just fine. Okay, so I'm going to do the lighter area first to kind of blend that out a little better. There we go. See, it's kind of diffusing. That's what you want. You want this to be soft, focused, and diffused, but you still need that hard edge line where the face is. Now, that got a little soft. So what can I do here? Well, first of all, I see where this area, which is the cheekbone towards the background, still needs to be darker. I still need to pop that a little bit more. But then if you look at my cheekbone, the cheekbone is darker too. Do you see that? Cheekbone's darker. So let's roll this out. And at the same time, I need to be on this side of the face where I can see that this needs to be darker too. Again, keeping in mind I have that little bit of a glow. Now, I'm going to eat up my glow a little bit. I just broke my pencil. I can feel it. I'm going to eat up the glow so it's not so big. Do you see how bright that is? I'm going to tone that down a little bit, just slightly. But yet, I still need to make this background darker and sharper. Don't I? Look at that. Always working. Constantly, always working. So I'm going to blend that out. Let me keep drawing my ovals and blend that out. And I don't want to take my pencil to the face. I don't want to do that. I'd rather add it with my blending stump. Roll it, roll it, roll it, nice and gradual. Blend it out so it's diffused. Okay, so let's see what we have now. Let's pull this apart and see what we get. So when I look at this, papers everywhere. When I look at this side, is there anything that I need to do? Okay, you can see the soft shades through here, and I'm going to work on this area in the next video. But when we pull this apart, we can kind of see in looking at this that this area is bigger. So it's kind of hard. Where can I put this? Right in the middle? It's kind of hard. But this is a little darker. Did it go over a little too far? Yeah, it could have, because I wasn't supposed to go past the middle of my pupil. So I might just pop that a little bit. Just pop it. Pop it, pop it, pop it to get that shape. We talked about where the corner comes out. It doesn't go past the middle of the pupil, and it goes about to the bottom of the nose. All right, and then we can always take a clean paper towel and reblend that carefully. You don't want to overblend. Don't want to overblend. Don't overcorrect either by doing too much of this or too much of the dark. So we're going to go ahead and stop this video for the day, or I'm going to stop the video for the day. And I will see you in the next video, everyone. Bye-bye.